Welcome everybody, Mighty Rai here. And in today's video, I wanted to do a top 10 Rise of the Shadows cards based off of my analysis as well as the analysis of a handful of other streamers for whom I value the opinion of. So these are cards that I believe will have an impact on the meta starting day one, right when the expansion drops. And I believe also, some of these cards may actually have an impact for the full 2 years as well, so that they're in rotation. But with that, this is by no means a crafting guide, so definitely do not craft any of these cards on day one. I wouldn't recommend crafting any cards on day one anyways. Definitely recommend waiting about 3 or 4 weeks after an expansion drops, after all the playtesting is done by all the millions of Hearthstone players out in the world. So with that, let's go to number 10. Number 10 would be Chef Nomi. In my opinion, I think Control's got a really good chance to come back in the meta now that we have lots of ways to interact with the combo OTK decks. And I think Chef Nomi is going to be a huge piece of those Control decks, because if you can hurry up and draw your deck first and drop this against another Control deck, guess what? You have the board and you have the initiative. You also have a 7-mana 42/42, which is pretty bonkers type of a tempo play. So you can also get this out with Myra's and Stable Evolution. We'll see if Rogue is able to pull that off. So just the fact that you have the Myra's and Stable Evolution and then a good chance that Control comes back into the meta, I think Chef Nomi is going to be a really top 10 card in the new expansion. Number 9, Katrina Muerte. Easy for me to say. So as an aggro player, I've always feared for turn 7 with Psychic Scream being played. Fortunately, that is rotated out, but I might almost fear Katrina Muerte just as much. Granted, it is 1 turn later, but it's a really well-statted minion for 8 mana for 14 stats. Generally, you would expect 16 stats, maybe 17 with an 8 mana minion. I always just do 2 times the mana cost plus 1 usually for health, and that's usually your overall stat. So with that, I see a very strong chance that this gets paired with Witchwood Grizzly, which is already being played a lot right now. Of course, Ziliax as well, which is another powerful anti-aggro card. There's also the Stegatron or the Stegadon or whatever it's called. So Damage Stegatron and a handful of other good cards that could be played, that could be resurrected by this. So you drop this on 8, you probably get a big taunt, and then if you don't get through the taunt and Katrina in the same turn, guess what? Another taunt comes up. So I think it has a very good chance of being very powerful, and it's definitely squashing aggro if aggro doesn't kill the priest by turn 8. Number 8 is Toxin. Now, I love me some Murlocs, and this Murloc is pretty powerful. So if you've ever played any type of Murloc Mage or Murloc Paladin, and you had Megasaur there, you're always like, come on, can we get poison, get through this taunt? Well, now you're 100% of the time roll poison, which is pretty awesome. I think this has a massive chance of giving you a big tempo swing. Just throw this on one of your 1/1 Murlocs or any other Murloc you're okay with getting rid of. Bust through a taunt, smash the face, or pick up the board again because you had a good tempo swing with the poison. So I think there is a decent chance that Murlocs could see some more play, especially in Shaman. So I expect this card to be definitely a 2-of in that deck. Number 7 is Vendetta. So Vendetta is deal 4 damage to a minion, but it costs 0 if you're holding a card from another class in your hand. Very powerful, probably one of the best tempo cards you can have. Of course, it does have a massive condition with you have to have a card from another class in your hand in order for it to cost 0. But and if you do have that, holy crap, that's awesome. But even if you don't, 4 mana, 4 damage to a minion, I don't think it's terrible. It does. For the most part, on turn 4, it's going to have a good chance of clearing just about anything. So huge upside with it being free. Not a massive downside when it's just 4 mana, 4 damage. Number 6, Rapid Fire. So I really like Rapid Fire here because it is a twin spell, which means that you can play 1 copy of it and then you get a 2nd copy of the same spell in your hand. So you can play it up to 2 times per card. I like Rapid Fire a lot because it is very flexible. So you've seen what Spring Paw has done to Hunter, has made it a lot better at clearing the board and getting tempo back. Well, I think Rapid Fire is almost again of an additional version of that, but it also has the flexibility of going face. And we're seeing a little bit of spell damage and spell support for Hunters anyways. So I think this is going to be a good card that could see play in even the mid-range Hunter or a Spell Hunter as another way to get tempo, or throw it at somebody's face if you have the spell damage. So I think we want to keep an eye on this card. I think it's going to be pretty good, pretty flexible, and fit in most Hunter decks. Number 5, Forbidden Words. I think this is maybe right up there with the most flexible card that we're going to see, honestly. I mean, certainly Rapid Fire is pretty good, the one we just revealed, but Forbidden Words I think is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a 2 of in every Priest deck for the next 2 years. It's essentially... The only time it's worse than Shadow Word Pain is when you're killing a 3 attack minion. And what are you going to do with that 1 extra mana anyways that you had if you're using on turn 3? So I think there's a very strong chance that this might replace the Shadow Word Pains, which is a basic card that's pretty much played in most Priest decks. There's a good chance this might replace that, or even possibly replace 1 death in the deck. So that much flexibility is pretty awesome. So next on the list is number 4, Hecklebot. Now, Hecklebot is a 4-mana 3/8 mech with taunt, battlecry, summon a minion from your opponent's deck onto the battlefield. Now, with stat-wise, you get probably about 2 extra stats on this. You get 11 stats for 4. Typically, if you're looking at a Chillwind Yeti, you get 9 stats for 4. So you get 2 extra stats. Now, you do give your opponent a minion on the board. But the reason why I like Hecklebot a lot is, 1, it's a mech. It's going to be hard to kill with that 8 health. I just love the way it's statted for an anti-aggro type of deck. Again, we also know what's on turn 5. We have War Gear, which possibly has a chance to see play. And then we have Ziliax, too. So 4 and a 5 is going to be really good for any kind of mid-range or anti-aggro type of lineup. So the only way you can kind of get punished here is if you're playing this against maybe like a big warrior or some deck that wants to run a lot of big minions, then you might not want to play this necessarily. But this is one of those cards that Blizzard did print for this expansion that will actually interact with the combo decks pretty well. So pulling out like your Malagos or whatever other tempo pieces. So in that situation, you wouldn't want to play this on turn 4, but if you recognize by turn 4 that you're going against a potential combo deck, play this later on. You mess up their combo. You also have a decent minion on board. Maybe you have a good way to deal with that minion that you pull out, like the Malagos. So I think this is going to be a pretty good card. I think this will single-handedly keep combo decks at bay for the next 2 years. Next is number 3. This is Mysterious Fiery War Axe. No, actually it's called Mysterious Blade. This is a paladin weapon that battlecry, if you control secret, gain +1 attack. So if you remember Fiery War Axe, it was nerfed a little while ago because it was just a little too darn powerful at dealing with the board. It was easily the best weapon in Hearthstone, and this has a chance to be that 2-mana Fiery War Axe again that we've us aggro players had missed a little bit. So now there is a new secret that is in the new expansion that gives you, if a spell is played, give your minions +2 health. And I think that's a pretty good secret to play on turn 1, as well as a couple other secrets that Paladin has as well. So I think generally playing Paladin secrets hasn't always been amazing, but I think there's just enough support for Paladins to get to play secrets and play and get a lot of good aggro and tempo on the board. So I think Mysterious Blade is going to be a fantastic turn 2 play, especially if you play a secret on turn 1. Next up is number 2, Sunreaver Spy. So a lot of the same things I just said about Mysterious Blade apply to Sunreaver Spy. Now I had this one just a little bit ahead of Mysterious Blade, just because I would be shocked if we do not see a lot of this card, especially the first week of the expansion, but probably for at least until the next expansion. Being able to get a 2-mana 3/4 on turn 2 is so powerful for tempo. It is so likely to trade in with at least 2 of the minions, and that's how you gain tempo in the game. Is you throw a better minion on the board, you trade over on some minions, and then you just keep snowballing the board, and you've essentially probably won on turn 2. So there's a lot of secret support for paladins, so I definitely see this going into an aggro secret paladin. It's going to be debatable whether it goes into like Hunter, which has 2 mana secrets. Probably not Rogue, because Rogue secrets are pretty bad, and maybe a small chance it could line up in Mage. But the fact that Paladin secrets are on turn 1 and not a horrible play on turn 1, then you got this on turn 2. So it just makes you so much more consistency, because you either play a good 1-mana minion or you play a secret on 1, and then you play into this, and then you're set for the rest of the game. So finally, going into my number 1 card of the Rise of the Shadows is Hench Clan Hag. This is a 4-mana battlecry, summon 2 1/1 amalgams with all minion types. So the reason why I had this number 1 is because I think this has so much flexibility to fit in so many different types of decks. Now, there was a similar card called Grim Necromancer from Frozen Throne that wasn't played a lot. So that's the only reason why I have a little bit of nervousness about this being like one of the top cards in the new expansion. But I just love the fact that it makes amalgams that are 1/1 that you can, magnetize with, other magnetizable mechs. You can have some beast synergy and Murloc synergy, which there's a lot of support for. So I really look for this card to be, maybe a 2 of in a lot of different token style decks, any kind of aggro decks, maybe even some mid-range stuff. And I think this card alone could maybe see War Gear, the 5-mana 5/5 magnetic card from the Boomstick expansion, maybe see a little bit more play. So but I like this because it is a 4-mana, essentially 5/5. You're getting 1 extra stat across 3 bodies on turn 4, which I think it's going to be hard for your opponent to have 3 minions on the board just to trade with all this stuff. So it's more than likely at least one minion is going to be hanging by, and then that's where you can play some of your other tempo cards to go ahead and start swinging the board either back in your favor, or you further augment your board position and just steamroll your opponent. So with that being said, those are my top 10 cards from the new Rise of the Shadows expansion. Again, not a crafting guide, but I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. So please let me know what cards you think I'm missing. How far off am I on this? Do you have any of these cards in your top 10 as well? So guys, love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you catch me at twitch.tv/MightyRye. Monday, Fridays, and Sunday evenings Central Time. Shoot me a follow on Twitch, and I really appreciate it. And we'll talk some more about the cards. Until then, peace and love.